Good morning children. See, in the previous video we have discussed about the definition of reproduction, importance of reproduction, variations and their importance. Now in this present video we are discussing about the modes of reproduction, the types of reproduction. So before going to the types of reproduction, just I will give you. So actually you see all the living organisms are producing the new individuals of their own kind. But all individuals are not alike. Their development is different, their organization is different. Like that, for example, you see in the unicellular organisms, only cellular organization. Next comes to tissue level of organization. Like that, the classification or evolution, if you see, the level by level development you are observing. In the lower organisms, where the reproductive organs are not prominently developed, they will reproduce through the asexual type of reproduction. So coming to the modes of the reproduction, asexual type of reproduction and sexual reproduction. Mainly two, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So as I said previously, in the lower organisms where the reproductive organs are not developed, they don't have any prominent reproductive organs to produce the young ones, and some are having only cellular level of organization, tissue level of organization. In those organisms, the reproduction will be taken by asexual mode. So in the asexual mode, actually there are many. Plants too will reproduce, animals too will reproduce. In plants, the types of asexual reproductions are fission, budding, fragmentation, regeneration, spore formation. So specifically in the lower level organisms, the types of asexual reproductions are fission, budding, fragmentation, regeneration, sporulation. Coming to the plant asexual reproduction, vegetative propagation. And the types we will discuss later, vegetative propagation. Now you see here, in the unicellular organisms and lower organisms, this type of modes will be, type of reproduction will be taking place. Whereas in the multicellular organisms, cell by cell division is not possible because organs and organ systems are developed and placed in a particular position. So placed in the body in a particular position. Organs are developed, organ systems are developed. So each and every cell of the multicellular organism cannot divide like this process. But some of the lower multicellular organisms where the tissues are there, they can produce the new young ones by asexual reproduction. Now coming to the characteristic features of the asexual reproduction. In the asexual reproduction, see, formation of the new individuals from a specialized or unspecialized parts of the single parent. That means single parent involvement. There are some specialized cells or unspecialized cells. From these specialized or unspecialized parts of a single parent, the new individuals are formed. Uniparental, a single parent involvement. That you can use the word apomixis. That means without mixing. Apomixis means what? Without mixing. That means a single parent involvement is here. And here gametes, that means male gamete, female gamete, sperm, ovum. The gametes are not formed. No gamete formation. First one is single parent involvement. The new individuals are formed from the specialized or unspecialized parts of the single parent. And next one is no gamete formation. That means here male-female gametes are not formed. When male-female gametes are not formed, there is no fusion, no mixing of the gametes. That means what? Fertilization do not take place. Here no fusion of the gametes means fertilization do not take place. Next one, rapid multiplication. So rapid means very fast mode of development, very fast mode of reproduction. So for example, the higher organisms may take certain gestation period to give birth to the younger ones. But in the lower organism, either the splitting of the cell or budding, any process will take very quickly. So fast multiplication, this asexual mode of reproduction will be very quick. And coming to next one, all cell divisions are mitotic divisions. All cell divisions are equal divisions. So in the previous one we discussed the mitotic division, meiosis division, equal division and reduction division. Here all cell divisions are mitotic divisions. And here you see the new ones formed are identical to the parents. The young ones formed are very identical to the parents because there is no fusion of the gametes, there is no chromosomal recombination. Then what happens here? No chances of variations. Variations do not found. See, if no fusion of the gametes, there won't be any exchange of the chromosomes or recombination of the chromosomes. Then what happens? The new generation or the new daughter cells formed are very identical to the parent cells and no variations are found here as no fertilization takes place. And if variations are not there, new species are not formed. New species are not formed, then it is not supporting for the evolution process. Not supporting for the evolution process. So what are the characteristic features of the asexual reproduction are single parent involvement, or you can write uniparental. Next, no gametes formation, no fusion of gametes. That means what? Fertilization do not takes place. And the new young one which are formed by this process are identical to the parent cells and they are not showing any variation. That means variations are not formed. If variations are not formed, new species are not formed. Means new. Because of the variations only new species are formed. So variations are not found. It do not support for the evolution process. And whatever be the divisions takes place in this process are all mitotic divisions. There is no genetic variation. Variations are not found. No genetic variation. These are the main characteristic features of asexual reproduction. Now, if they ask you to differentiate between the sexual and asexual, the vice versa you can write. So, after seeing the video, you can frame the differences on your own. You can write on your own. For example, what are I said that asexual reproduction, make a T table. Here asexual reproduction, here sexual reproduction. Here what? Uniparental, here biparental. No gametes formed. Vice versa, you can write the differences. Now here I am talking about the asexual reproduction. So what are the different types of the asexual reproduction are fission. Now the first one is fission. Fission means what? Dividing into two, splitting. A single cell splitting into two. That is called as the fission. So again in the fission, somewhat variation, differences are there. One is the binary fission. One more is the multiple fission. That means what? A single, so again, fission means what? Splitting of one single cell into two, dividing. Fission is division, fusion is combination. Now we are talking about the fission. Like single cell, unicellular organisms like amoeba, paramecium, euglena, leishmania, yeast, bacteria. These are all coming under unicellular organisms. Then in the unicellular organism like amoeba, leishmania, paramecium, euglena, all we will observe the binary fission, splitting one organism into two. But I'll show you that the binary fission in amoeba. See children here. This is amoeba. You know the shape of the amoeba from the lower classes. So irregular shape. It has nucleus, First the nucleus is elongated. The nucleus, how? First this is the nucleus, like this it is elongated. After the elongation, the nucleus is splitting into two. The nucleus is splitting into two. Then the cytoplasm also separating into two parts. Then here is a constriction like this. The constriction will come near and divide the main parent cell into two daughter cells. So in amoeba, we are observing the binary fission. Binary into two. A single cell dividing into two. The first division is always, you see, in the division of any cell, the first division is, that is the nucleus. First division is nucleus, next division is cytoplasm. First the nucleus divides, that is called as the karyokinesis. That is called as what? Karyokinesis. Karyokinesis. And division of cytoplasm is called as cytokinesis. Division of cytoplasm is called cytokinesis. In this division, first the nucleus is elongated and divides into two parts. Then the cytoplasm and the cellular apparatus will divide. Finally, the plasma membrane constriction like this it will come, and then it separates into pinch off and separates into two daughter cells. So the first division is the nucleus division called karyokinesis. Second division is cytoplasm called as the cytokinesis. So binary fission example, amoeba, paramecium, euglena, leishmania. But you see, in leishmania, see this is the leishmania. Single cell, unicellular organism leishmania. So what is the speciality? Actually leishmania is the causative organism of Kala Ajar. Kala Ajar is the dangerous fever. This organism causes that fever. But here you see, here the leishmania is having a whip-like structure. Here you see, this is the whip. A whip-like structure it is having. Whip means what? A tail-like flagella will be there. Here you see, this is also leishmania, also unicellular organism. So here, leishmania. It is also what? Unicellular organism. But what happens here? If this one is like, this is a whip-like structure. This is what? Whip-like structure. Here the nucleus is present. Because of this whip, this leishmania will divide in the vertical direction. Amoeba at any direction. As amoeba is not having any particular shape, it can divide in any direction. So like this, horizontally, vertically, slanty, diagonally, anywhere it can divide. The same we will get. But leishmania, euglena, like these organisms are having a whip-like structure. So their division will be vertical. You see here, first the nucleus divides into two, then slowly a constriction formed and it splits into two, even the whip also becoming two. So in leishmania-like organisms, it is only in the vertical orientation, vertical direction, because of a whip-like structure. But it is also comes under binary fission only. It is also coming under binary fission. Like that, in the unicellular organisms, mostly the fission of the cells is possible. That means what? Dividing into two. Now coming to one more fission is multiple fission. Multiple. Binary means splitting into two. Multiple means splitting into many. So like plasmodium, this is nothing but the malaria parasite. Plasmodium is malaria parasite. So it covers the body with a cover under unfavorable conditions. It will make a cyst-like structure around it. Cyst. In order to protect the inner cell. Then what happens at that time? The single nucleus divides into many times. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4. Like that, it will be dividing many times, forming number of nuclei. Number of nuclei is the plural, nucleus is the singular. So what happens? It will make a cyst around it and the nucleus is dividing many times. Then when the conditions are favorable, the cyst will burst, and these nuclei, the parts of the nucleus are spread out, and each one along with some quantity of cytoplasm. Here this is a cyst and nucleus. Then the nucleus divides into many times, many nuclei are formed inside. When the cyst bursts open, these nuclei are spread out, but each and every part of the nucleus will along with some cytoplasm, because the cytoplasm also should divide. So what happens here? Many plasmodium will be formed. This is called as the multiple fission. Plasmodium is malaria parasite which causes malaria. In this, the division will be taken place by multiple fission. So coming to the fission, we have discussed about binary fission and multiple fission. And the fission in Leishmania-like organism, it will take only in one orientation. But amoeba, it is not like that. Irregular shape, it can divide in any orientation. Coming to the next one, budding. So this budding also seen in the lower organism. See, yeast. Yeast is unicellular fungi. Yeast belongs to fungus. Unicellular fungi. In yeast, it reproduces through a bud. Bud means what? An outgrowth. So it will, you see here, yeast. It is a single cell. Yeast is a single cell nucleus. First of all, a soft surface. Yeast will be having cell wall also, because fungi too will have cell wall. Plants will have cell wall, fungi will have cell wall. So it will first of all becoming soft, and it forms an outgrowth called as the bud. And the nucleus slowly elongates and moves into the outgrowth. Followed, then the nucleus divides into two. The cytoplasm also divides, some part into the bud, some part into the main cell. Then what happens? Then after maturation, the bud will be pinched off from the parent cell and growing into a new yeast. Some of the times, a chain of cells, you see, chain means what? The nucleus is divided into many pieces, and each will be getting some cytoplasm, and each will be developing into new yeast. So yeast budding, a single celled fungi, it has cell wall, and here a soft part will be there, and then it forms an outgrowth that is called as the bud. The nucleus will be elongated and divides into part. One part goes into the bud, and cytoplasm too will divide. After maturation, the bud will be pinched off from the parent yeast, develops into a new yeast. Sometimes what? Chain of the cells. Chain of the cells means many yeast will be formed from a single parent. So this is the budding. Here also, first nucleus division, next to cytoplasm division. The division will be always, nucleus will divide, then cytoplasm will be divided. This is the yeast budding. And budding, one more example is hydra. Hydra is not a single-celled organism. It is multicellular organism. But it is not having any reproductive organs. The organs and organ systems are not developed. Here it is the level of just tissues, just the cells. Multicellular organism, there are no specific organs and organ systems in hydra. Now I will show you the diagram of hydra. You see here. This is the hydra, children. See, this is hydra. Actually, hydra is hermaphrodite. When you study about the sexual reproduction, you will study what is meant by hermaphrodite. Here, hydra. These are the tentacles which are helping for the locomotion, movement. And here, hydra also having two body layers, that is diploblastic. Last year in the diversity chapter we have studied diploblastic organism. Diploblastic means the body is covered by two layers, ectoderm and endoderm. Ecto is outer, endo is inner. Diploblastic organism. Here actually in hydra, one more specialty, it is having some specialized cells, regenerative cells. So here also one outgrowth will form like a bud, and this bud will be slowly developing. What are the inner parts? Inner cells will be Same going into the bud part and all the parts, the 2 layers on the body, the tentacles, everything will be developing. After the maturation, the bud will be detached from the parent hydra and grows into individual hydra. So after the maturation, this part, this is the bud, will be detaching from the parental. And what happens here, some of the cells are very active to divide and produce the new cells into the daughter hydra. It will be detached from the parent hydra and this will be formed into a new hydra. Even you see, hydra budding is very common. Some of the times, hydra will reproduce through regeneration also. Some of the time, hydra will reproduce through regeneration. Mainly, hydra will reproduce through budding. So what is regeneration? When I explain, I will tell you. This is the hydra budding. A bud is formed, all the cells, tentacles, everything developed in the bud. After the maturation, the bud is pinched off from the parent cell, develops into new hydra. This is about the budding of yeast and hydra. Coming to the third type of the asexual reproduction, fragmentation. Fragmentation. So, you know what are the fragments? Small pieces. Fragmentation. Mostly, we will see in the algae. Algae body is filamentous. Body is filamentous. And inside the cells will be present. If any part, this is a piece, this fragment and this fragment will be separated. Even you see, even the half, like this also it can separate. This is a fragment, this is a fragment. Algae will have cell wall and inside what is that? Chloroplast. So each segment will be developing into a new individual. So what is that? In algae, the filamentous algae, you see here, algae. Example, Spirogyra. I am telling about Spirogyra. So this is the filamentous algae, Spirogyra. Filamentous algae. See the ribbon shaped one is there, no? Inside the ribbon shaped one, that is the chloroplast. When this Spirogyra, parent cell, a filamentous body will split into fragments, 2 or 3 fragments. Then each fragment will be developing into new filament again. So this is a fragment, and this fragment is developing into new individual, this fragment also developing into new individual. This is the fragmentation, mostly found in the algae, filamentous algae like Spirogyra. And one more thing, so Spirogyra will reproduce through fragmentation, and some of the time, see, the rhizopus, fungi normally reproduces through sporulation, but in the fungi, these are the hypae, root-like structures. When these hypae are fragmented, breaks into pieces, each hypae can develop into new rhizopus. So in that, algae we are observing fragmentation, fungi also we are observing fragmentation. So fragmentation in fungi, the fragments of the hypae, these are called as the hypae. The hypal fragments will be developing into new individuals. So where you are observing the fragmentation will be mostly observed in the filamentous algae, even some of the cases in the fungal hypae. So this is the third one of the asexual reproduction in the lower organism. Coming to regeneration. We know that regeneration, again forming, regeneration. Normally you see some of the flatworms. What is the definition of regeneration? The ability of growing the last body part. When the organism loses accidentally or after the maturation any part, each part will be developing into a new individual. But you see children, fragmentation also very related to regeneration. But in the fragmentation, we don't have specialized cells. In the regeneration, I will show you, this is the flatworm called as planaria. Flatworm called as planaria. After the maturation, accidentally or any other condition, if it divides into three parts, head part, body middle part, tail part, then what happens? The head part will regenerate the other two parts, middle part will regenerate the other two parts, tail part will regenerate the upper two parts. This facility will be there because it is having a tissue level organization. That means what? Organs are not there here. Organs are not there, organ systems are not there. Only tissue. Then what happens here? It is having some special cells called regenerative cells. Very, very important. Specialized cells called as regenerative cells. Whereas these regenerative cells are not present in the fragmentation. So we are thinking that each fragment will be developing into new algae. But what is the difference between these two? In the regeneration, the head part will develop the middle and tail part. The middle part will develop the head and tail. The tail will develop the other two parts. Because of the regenerative cells, these cells will divide and proliferate into new tissues. In a sequential manner, the cells will be forming the tissues. Then the last part will be regrowing, regeneration. Normally, this will be only we will see in the tissue level of organization because organs are not developed. I will tell you one example, children. In the multicellular organisms like lizard, wall lizard will be there. Sometimes we are observing if the lizard is like that, accidentally the tail will cut off. But what happens in that case, you know, the body part can develop the tail part, but the tail part cannot develop the body part. See here, if you observe the multicellular lizard, wall lizard, the tail part cannot develop the body part, but the body part can develop the tail part. Why? This is well organized. Organs and organ system, respiratory system, excretory system, blood circulatory system, every system developed. Lizard comes under reptiles. So already the organ systems are well developed. Only tail means tissue, but tail cannot develop the body part as the organs and organ systems are well developed. So regeneration cannot be possible in the multicellular organisms which are having organ and organ system of organization. Cellular level, tissue level, it is okay. But organ and organ system of organization, it cannot regenerate like that. I'll show you the figure of the planaria. See children, this is the planaria. Regeneration. Flatworm. Planaria belongs to phylum Platyhelminthes. Phylum Platyhelminthes. Because the body is flattened like this. Hence we are calling it as the flatworm. See the body divided into three parts. It might be accidental or after the maturation. Each part, the head is developing the other two, body developing the other upper and down, and the tail developing the other two. Again you are observing three planaria growth. Here they are having specialized cells called regenerative cells. These cells will be here dividing and proliferating into new tissue in a sequential manner. Cell division, tissue formation and regrowing the last body part. The ability of developing or regrowing the last body part into a full organism is called as the regeneration. This will be observed in the flatworms like planaria. Got it? Even I said that Hydra also some of the times will be developing into regeneration. So Hydra too can, when one piece of the Hydra cut into and that piece will be developing into the new Hydra, Hydra too can reproduce through the process of regeneration. It is also having the specialized cells. Followed? So it is observed in the flatworms mostly, because of the specialized cells divisions, the body part can be grown easily and each piece will be developing into only single, that means 3 organisms we are getting from that one. So the next one is the spore formation. This is what? Spore formation. Now mostly spore formation we will observe in the fungi like Penicillium notatum, Rhizopus, that is the bread mold, like that in the fungi we are observing. Even some of the non-flowering plants, plants like moss, fern, etc. These also will form the spores. That comes under plant reproduction. That is the moss, fern, like non-flowering plant. But in fungi you see, this is the filament and these are the hypae. We have hyperstructures here you see. And this is a bulb-like structure called as sporangium. Called as what? Sporangium. And inside the sporangium, the spores are present. After the maturity, the sporangium will burst open. The spores will be falling on the surface. Actually, the spore is having outer hard cover. When the conditions are favorable, what are the favorable conditions for the growth? Moisture. The conditions are favorable, that means the surface should be moist. Then each spore will be developing into new bread mold. That is called as the Rhizopus. See, bread mold. This is bread mold. We will observe in the Penicillium notatum, that is the penicillin, and other fungi also spore formation. Even some of the non-flowering plants also reproduce through this spore formation, like moss and fern. They are not having special reproductive organs. So what is that? In the fungi like bread mold, that is the Rhizopus is the scientific name of the fungi, bread mold muca. Here you see. This is the Rhizopus. These are the bulb-like structures. They are called as the sporangium. Sporangium is the singular number. And each sporangium consisting of number of spores. These are the hypae. Hypae I explained in the fragmentation, that is different. Here the sporangium, when the conditions are matured, it breaks down and the spores are spread on the surface. Under favorable conditions, the outer layer, that is the cyst, will burst and each spore will be developing into new Rhizopus. So what are the favorable conditions here? The surface should be moist. So under moist conditions only the spore can be developing into each Rhizopus. This is called as the spore formation. Now the asexual reproduction in the animals, lower organism, fission, budding, fragmentation, regeneration, spore formation. These are the types of the reproduction, and asexual reproduction characteristics we discussed in this video. Thank you.